news, current affairs, facts and opinion. Their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks, to McIntyre Report. Jamie McIntyre here reporting live for Australian National Review or independent media, originally out of Australia, founded in 2013 with a physical newspaper, now online, but with our political shows. We actually broadcast mostly from Indonesia. Ironically, in the West, it's less safe to talk about the truth. In Australia, particularly mainstream media, whether it's on the right side, being Murdoch press, on the left, being globalist Soros-style press, they're not very good at telling the truth. In actual fact, we could fact check their news every day and highlight that 90% of it is absolute BS, false narratives. And unfortunately, Australians, we grew up with that and we believed fake things to be true. But as I say to most adults, we have to accept at some point in our life that Santa Claus isn't true, just like many adults need to grow up and accept what's in the news is not true. The Chinese are often bemused why us Westerners think our news is news, when in the China they know that their news is not necessarily news. Often much of it is propaganda. They're just bemused why us Westerners, including Australians, think anything different. Well, this week's been a big week in news headlines for Lindsey Graham, one of the greatest warmongers, pathetic human beings ever to walk the planet, right up there with Netanyahu. And how do you know if you're a total loser and what you stood for? It was pathetic. Well, if you look at the Iranian leader, who they demonize, millions of people mourn his death. How many people mourn Graham Lindsey's death? Pretty much about zero, other than the psychopathic neocon warmongers, who also probably need Russia to drop a bomb on too. Well done to Russia. We don't know clearly whether Russia took Lindsey Graham out, but I've always suggested Russia and China and Iran need to be way more aggressive. They're taking out the garbage that threatens humanity. And Lindsey Graham was one of those individuals that threatened humanity, threatened Russia, loved killing Russians, wanted war after war. And let's face it, was nothing more than an Israeli agent and a stooge that helped lie like Netanyahu to get America into even more wars and to boost the bank accounts of the military complex.
We decided to end the war by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. That was the right decision. Give Israel the bombs they need to end the war they can't afford to lose and work with them to minimize casualties. Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Well, there you have the psychopathic in his own words. I mean, what a moron. And now we shouldn't speak ill of people that have passed, but fuck you, Lindsey Graham. We would happily spoke ill about you when you're alive. You're a pathetic human being. And I'd love to know what God's got planned for you wherever you are now. Maybe you're warming up hell for Netanyahu to follow. But I do say one of the solutions to this world, you've got enemies such as Mossad, controls most of the Western intelligence agencies. They assassinate people at will, whether it's journalists, whether it's babies, whether it's innocent civilians, whether it's people enjoying a cafe experience in Port Arthur or out at a nightclub in Bali bombings or catching a bus in London or hanging out in Oklahoma or Christchurch, wherever it is, massacres, terrorists, bombs, USS Liberty doing your job protecting America and its allies and its allied targets with machine guns and bombs and tries to kill everyone on board. 179 injured, 34 dead. Thanks to Israel, but that's just the start. We looked at a long list of tragic attacks and murderous regime. Then the point being very clearly, does Russia and China have to become more aggressive to take out the garbage if it means averting World War III? Now, there's a theory going around that Lindsey Graham never made it back to America. He was in Ukraine, and he was inspecting a weapons depot that just happened to be hit by a Russian missile. Shortly thereafter, when he was expected to be there, then he was announced as having a medical issue and dying in America. Many debate and debunk that he could even had physical time to make it back to America. Did Russia take decisive action? Did someone leak it? in the Trump administration to take out Lindsey Graham. I'm suggesting they did. I'm suggesting if Russia did, well done, Russia. I think they need to be more aggressive. When Russians are attacked, Russians are assassinated, people around the world are assassinated by this evil regime. If we don't take a stand and be more aggressive and take these warmongers, non-human, you'd almost say, psychopaths out, then millions could end up dying as a result. As Lindsey Graham there was advocating, why can't Israel drop nukes on its enemies like we did in Japan? Yeah, well, if you understand, Israel controlled US foreign policy even before it was officially formed in 1948, the people that founded Israel, that is. And who do you think invented the atomic bomb? And who do you think was behind dropping atomic bombs on Japan, killing innocent civilians, if that wasn't the founders of Israel?
Lindsey Graham is inexcusable and should not be allowed back on television. Period. He is frothing at the mouth.
We're going to blow the hell out of these people.
This guy is a homicidal maniac with a bloodlust that is insatiable.
Iran is going down and Cuba is next.
What the who voted for that? No one voted for that.
We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You have no fucking kids and no fucking clue. Those of us who have children, especially the moms I know who have kids who are in the armed forces, don't have the same bloodlust that you have, childless, weird man in his dark corner basement that he wanted to get off again watching bombs blow up. 7 service personnel are now dead. He has no fucking compassion for human life.
You just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
President Trump needs to understand that he is undermining everything President Trump is doing. This is not a force for good in the United States of America.
God bless Israel. Right. We should move all our stuff to Israel. Thank you.
The hate of men will pass and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish.
So, well done, Megan Kelly, for calling out the obvious. I'd be watching people that praise Lindsey Graham, how much money they're receiving from Israel, but it's absolutely pathetic. I mean, childless he was, he has no children. He's happy to send off American children to die. But now the allegations come out that he was gay and transgender, and transgenders come out and said he was paid to have sex with Lindsey Graham only recently. Who knows? But weird, perverted, childless men that like dropping bombs on innocent children. I don't think we should shed a tear for the removal of such garbage off this planet. And the sooner more are removed, the better off humanity will be and the safer children will be.
Well, at least Lindsey Graham is dead. The only positive thing about the Iran war heating up again is that Lindsey Graham won't be around to enjoy it. The bloodthirsty South Carolina senator breathed his last on Saturday, succumbing to what his office describes as a brief and sudden illness after a political career dedicated to promoting wars, airstrikes, and proxy conflicts at every possible opportunity. People have long poked fun at the hypocrisy of Lindsey Graham living as an obvious closeted gay man in a political party with a virulently anti-LGBTQ platform. I personally have always found Graham's sexual attraction to men a lot less interesting than his sexual attraction to acts of mass military slaughter. Ever since the death of Graham's dear friend John McCain, nobody on Capitol Hill has been able to match his gleeful enthusiasm for the shredding of human bodies using high-priced war machinery. Wherever there was any debate about dropping bombs, launching missiles, toppling foreign governments, arming proxy forces, or imposing starvation sanctions, you could always count on Lindsey Graham to be the first and loudest voice arguing in favor of more death and destruction. Graham has personally taken credit for persuading President Trump to begin the war with Iran. In the months leading up to his unexpected demise, the senator had advocated for direct U.S. military interventionism in Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, Yemen, Nigeria, Lebanon, and Palestine, and had just returned from a trip to Kyiv promoting the U.S. proxy war against Russia. He was literally pushing for more war and military expansionism until the very end of his life. All the world's worst people are publicly expressing their grief about the loss of their beloved war slut, from Trump to Benjamin Netanyahu to Itamar Ben-Gvir to Tom Cotton to Mike Huckabee. Meanwhile, everyone who's not a warmongering psychopath is having a splendid day. Of course, we're seeing imperial narrative managers like Piers Morgan wagging their fingers and chiding their audiences not to speak ill of the dead, but the hell with them. We're not doing that. Politeness is not more important than Lindsey Graham's victims. The liberal desire for propriety and nice feelings does not outweigh the importance of naming and shaming Graham's frenetic scramble to murder as many human beings as he possibly could throughout his evil, miserable life. Lindsey Graham is dead, and it is good that he is dead. May his omnicidal ideology soon join him in the arms of the cold, cold ground. May the insane, insatiable God he worshipped cease to gain recognition on this planet. Lindsey Graham is dead. At least that's one good thing. No matter what else happens today, they can't take that away from us.
Well, interesting words, but you can hardly not be happy, really. And I think the world's a better place. Lindsey Graham has left it. And I think the world will be a better place when people like Netanyahu, etc., are taken out as well. If they want to drop bombs on kids as they do, relentlessly bloodthirsty individuals, they're a threat to humanity, then humanity has to accept someone has to do something to stop these people, to save millions and millions of lives. Let's go to a quick ad break. We'll be back with some more.
The McIntyre Report.
Welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report here. Jamie McIntyre reporting live for Australian National Review Independent Media, not-for-profit, in our Indonesian studios, ANR.news. You can follow our 24-hour news headlines. We've been talking about Lindsey Graham is dead. Happened in the last week, and most of the world is joyous about it. Other breaking news is Tucker Carlson's brother, Buckley Carlson, agrees that the West is run by Jewish satanic pedophiles. The world is starting to wake up. Finally, President Trump has endorsed Lindsey Graham's sister, Darlene Graham, to be elected as the next U.S. Senator for South Carolina. Good one, Trump. We know who owns you. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mullen says Iran hacked state voter files, attempted to compromise the systems military members used to vote. Yeah, I'm sure Iran really gives a damn about that. It's just like Trump is trying to blame China interfered with the election now. I mean, such nonsense. Malaysia has banned all Israelis from its country and will immediately deport any Israeli citizens who are found there. Well done, Malaysia. The 2020 election could be ruled fraudulent by a US court based on new evidence. Who cares? Doesn't matter anymore because Trump was re-elected 2024. He's done the exact opposite to what he promised. He's controlled by satanic Jewish pedophiles. And those still hoping Trump's going to save America and Trump his political revolution because we hate on the crazy woke, you'll own nothing but be happy left crowd are just thinking, well, if you oppose that, then therefore you have to support the opposite. And this is the mistake in politics. Left and right politics in the West, politics is nothing other than left faction Zionism, left faction Jewish pedophiles, fake Jewish, most of them, and the right faction satanic pedophiles that love dropping bombs on children. Australia's problems are going to get worse rapidly. We predicted all this, but Australians have no idea how violent the streets are going to become. If you're a white person, then you got to understand that much of your country, whether it's England, Ireland, Australia, Scotland, Western Europe, you're going to be hunted down and eradicated. I look back at the story, reading the book, The Jakarta Method. In 1965, they flooded machetes and weapons into Indonesia, did a coup, slaughtered some generals to blame the Communist Party, which was in power at the time, Socialist Sukarno, who was a very popular president. They overthrew him and installed an Israeli puppet that would and turned out to be into genocide, Suharto. Evil regime to rule Indonesia and do the typical thing Israel wants in the West when it takes over countries. Used to control the Rothschilds, who founded Israel, controlled the British Empire. They sucked it dry in World War II, jumped ship to the US Empire. Now it's sucked dry. They're planning India as the next host, but they also wanted Ukraine to become Israel too. That's where they're from, these psychopathic, satanic Luciferians. But that's failing because Russia is a Christian nation. And even though the Rothschilds in the Bolshevik Revolution killed the Tsar family and went on to slaughter 30 to 60 million Christians in Russia, by the way, that's a real genocide. That's a real Holocaust, not the fabricated, exaggerated one that we're told we have to be deflected back to and ignore the one that's happening right in front of our eyes as Israel commits yet another Holocaust on the Gazan people and then on the Lebanese people and anyone around it can find, but of course it's the victim. Despite it dropping bombs on innocent kids that might want to grow up one day to throw stones back at them, Israel is the perennial victim. I mean, anyone still standing with Israel, go look in the mirror and wake the fuck up because there's no excuse now. The evidence is very clear. If you're defending a psychopathic maniac society that's satanic Luciferian that wants to see white people eradicated from the face of the earth, why? Because they a competition to them. They want to rule this world, and they already rule most of the West. They control America, they control Australia. If anyone hasn't figured out Israel controls Australia, people are like, oh, we're sick of the left, we're going to get rid of Albanese, and the Liberals and coalition are useless, so we're going to vote Pauline Hanson. And who's funding Pauline Hanson if it's not Israel? Who's flooding Australia with massive immigration if it's not Israel? Have you not read the clergy plan? So I'm saying to people, stop this nonsense of supporting left and right. That's how they divide you, because they control both sides. Left faction Zionism or right faction. Tell the Zionists to go fuck themselves. And then you'll have some freedom. Raise your kids to tell people that do the wrong thing to go fuck themselves. The lack of spine that people have in this world is why we have these problems. I have no issue telling Israel to go fuck itself. If I was Prime Minister of Australia, I would tell Israel to go fuck itself. And I'm sure there's a coalition of nations around the planet that have the military intelligence apparatus to take these people out and before they take you out. And when I say these people, the warmongers like Lindsey Graham that want to drop more bombs on children. These people are a threat to humanity. Now, the good news is we don't have to be violent psychopathics like them to win. Two things to win this war. It's an information war. And the second thing is just sanction Israel to death. And more particularly, sanction these psychopathic, non-human, I would suggest, individuals that lack humanity, sanction them, banish them from society. Like, do you really look up to Netanyahu as an inspirational leader? Is that your hero in life? Like today, how many more countries can we bomb so he stays out of jail a little bit longer because the war ends? He'll end up in jail where he belongs. I mean, are you really standing for that because you've been brainwashed all your life that you have to oppose the left, therefore you have to oppose the side that drops bombs on children? I'm not suggesting, it's up to you who you believe in, but if you want to support the left, if you want to support the right, you are the problem. You realize there's an alternative alliance in this world, such as the BRICS nations, such as Russia, China, Iran, and most of the world's population now, and more joining. Let's say we want a multipolar world. We don't want to dominate. We don't want a one world government. We don't want endless wars. We want trade, not war. We want peace and prosperity. We want to build roads and bridges. Actually, we are. Look at China. We want to respect national sovereignty. Oh, no, but they're the evil ones. You think China's going to take you over? China is not bombing nations. China is building nations. And that's why China has good trade relationships with most of the world. For Australia, we're rich thanks to China. Actually, most of us in the West, the reason we haven't had rampant inflation up until recently is thanks to China. They made the cost of goods so cheap. They made Australians so rich. And here we are, bad-mouthing China. Oh, they're communists. Really? That was the excuse they used when they flooded Indonesia and killed 1 to 3 million Indonesians with machetes and weaponry. Now, I raise that point because they flooded Indonesia with machetes. They gave kill lists that if you basically, anyone that was voted for Sukarno or supported his party, which was the ruling party at the time, you are to kill. And if you don't kill them, we'll kill you. Now, look at Melbourne. Melbourne has a lot of machetes. The Victorian government's even set up machete bins for please criminals, before you cut someone's head off, put the machete in the machete bin. Where are these machetes coming from? And I guarantee you're going to look up. They've been funded and fed into our country by Israel. Where do most weapons come for genocide? If it's not from Israel, the founders of Israel are satanic, pedophile motherfuckers, and the sooner you stop supporting them, the better off we'll all be. It takes a spine to call out these people, but don't be the last one. You're going to become a modern-day leper who's saying, oh, no, it's anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic bullshit. I have plenty of Jewish friends, and I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm anti-genocide. And if you're not anti-genocide, then what the fuck are you? Too weak to stand up to brainwashing and propaganda by Israel? Oh, we're defending Western civilization. No, you're not. You're destroying it. Who bombs every excess Muslim nation around and then floods the Muslims into the West? Who's doing that if it's not Israel? Who funds the division and politicians and lobbies in Australia and controls our political class? If it's not Israel, we already know who controls America. It's pretty obvious. So I'm not saying anything new here. I'm just willing to say it. Oh, yeah, but you got to be careful. They can kill people. They can't kill all of us. They would like to, and they intend to. But this is not about just white people. But I'm telling you, if you're white, Caucasian, look in Britain. You will become like living in South Africa. You'll live in a compound soon or leave. That's what's happening. Now, what's happening in Britain and Ireland, etc.? Do you think that's not coming to Australia? Oh, Australia will never be that bad. I'm going to toss a coin on that. Your country is being destroyed. And wherever you stand and support the very people that is destroying it, you will participate in your own demise. Now, I'm not talking to you particularly if you're watching this show, because you're probably watching this show because you're an independent thinker and have figured out. But I'm also talking about many in the freedom movement who figured out that COVID was a scam, the COVID vaccine was a fraud, but now are standing with Israel. Like, if you haven't yet figured out that Israel is the core enemy and problem of the world, then you're not free. You don't know what the fuck's going on. Oh, no, but I don't like the leftists. The leftists support Palestine, therefore I can't support Palestine. That's bullshit. The only thing the left get right, in my opinion, is that they're opposed to genocide in Gaza. They're wrong on many things, I agree. But we can't side with either left or right faction Zionism. Zionism is a politically terrorist ideology. It's dangerous ideology. It should be banned from Australia. If I was running Australia, it would be banned. No, that's anti-Jewish. No, it's not. Do you think Jewish people like fucking Netanyahu? Do you think Jewish people were ever a threat living in Australia? Do you think Jewish were discriminated against in Australia? No fucking way. As I said, half my friends are Jewish. They live a great life in Australia. Never discriminated against. The only people that cause them trouble is not the rest of Australia. It's Netanyahu. Dropping bombs on kids makes Jewish people look like psychopaths when many of them aren't. It's embarrassing for many of them. They don't want to be associated with Israel. Could you blame them? Now, there's many Jewish influence speaking out like us, many rabbis, many people oppose what's going on, and good on them. And all I'd say to the Jewish people, you're going to have to get a bigger voice. You're going to have to speak out more and differentiate, because we all collectively have to play our part to stop this evil Zionism ideology that somehow inferior people can call themselves the chosen ones and make themselves superior in their own deluded mind. The only people that want to have superiority complex over others is inferior human beings. Don't be a weak man. I always said this very clearly. Never, ever be intimidated by a weak man. I can tell you now, Netanyahu is a weak, coward man. I can tell you now, Lindsey Graham was one of the weakest men that ever walked this planet. Never bow before them. Never look up to these people. Speak your mind and speak the truth, because you have an obligation to know the truth, and you have an obligation to speak the truth, no matter what the price is to pay, because if enough of us don't do that, then one hell of a price will be paid for all of us. Think about that. You have the right to defend yourself, your family, your nation. And to do that, you have a right to tell people that try and take over your country to go fuck yourself. We know what you're up to. We know who you are. And we don't need to go to war to wipe you off the face of this planet. We just need to sanction you to death. We just need to expose who you are with an information war and let the world see what motherfuckers you are. We'll be back with some more after this break.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back to the McIntyre Report. Here you'll hear the truth. You won't hear it on fake news media in Australia. Independent media, we're not for profit. We thank our sponsors. We thank our donors. We thank people for sharing our work. We're heavily censored, but we'll keep on saying what we have to say, because collectively independent media is winning the game. That's why Israel is losing. Their PR machine can't stop millions of citizen journalists and independent citizens around the world. And that's one of the reasons why we funded and held the first Independent Media Awards last July in Australia, Free Speech Summit. And I guess which country lobbied hard to have it shut down, have it stopped, banned, had the power over the Australian government to instantly ban visas of American speakers that were coming to speak at a Free Speech Summit. Just why? Because they were anti-genocide. They were anti-a nation dropping bombs on children. Now, I'm Scottish heritage. Now, if the Scottish government was dropping bombs on innocent children and lying to us, am I anti-Scottish to call them out? I doubt that. Such bullshit anti-Semitism. Anyone using that word is a joke. You should stop it. You make yourself look like an idiot. Be a man. stand up for what's right in this world, and stop being led down the garden path by a bunch of psychopaths like Lindsey Graham, Netanyahu, and to a lesser extent, Trump. Unfortunately, if you think Trump's going to save the world, Trump is a sellout, unfortunately. Let's talk a little bit about Australia topics. Good to see young. Let's say punters politics. I've got to always have a punter.
All right, ladies, listen up. We're on track for a $6 billion profit this year. It's not bad. But how do we make even more money? T-Bone, go. We could accidentally charge fees.
I like it.
To dead people.
Well, I can't see them complaining about that.
All right, Macca, what do you got? What about when customers are struggling financially and they ask us for help?
Yeah.
We just ignore them.
For how long?
Well, until they give up calling.
Well, I guess it's pretty hard to call and complain if you can't pay your phone bill.
Your call has been rejected. All right. What about interest rates? Oh, I got this one. We advertise high savings rates.
Yeah.
But then we accidentally,
Of course.
pay customers less. My man! Government bonds.
Go on.
So we take the government's $14 billion bond deal and we just accidentally make up the numbers that we report back to them.
Whoa, are you talking about scamming the government?
Whoa. Oh, no. I mean, it was just...
Mate, that's just some serious pure genius.
Good one, boss. Hey, if we get caught, how much is the fine? Oh, it's just 3% of 1 year's profits.
Well, you heard the man. Get out there and make me some money.
Got to give punters politics doing a great job. Humor and satire is also always a great way to help educate people about what's really going on in politics of Australia. It's such a shame, such a beautiful country, such a beautiful, attitude of most people, like as far as having laid back, great life. We grew up in a bubble, really. And sadly, the world's changing, not for the better in many cases. And Australia is fast asleep, and they don't know the tidal wave that's coming as far as increased violence, increased cost of living, the increased takeover and destruction of what was once a great nation.
I think politics is probably the only profession that you can get into and have no qualifications except to be able to talk well. As the Prime Minister of this country, you're running the biggest business, you're looking after the most amount of people, and if all you can do is talk well, who's running the asylum? You've got probably the worst people running it who possibly could.
Australians are actually, probably for the first time ever, are becoming more engaged in politics than they've ever been.
Because Australians are laid back, but now it's coming to a point where we have to do something.
Yeah.
I think if it's easy enough for us to sit around and say, why didn't they do this or that? But if people like us, the common people, don't get up and say something, then we can only blame ourselves.
Yeah, it's well said there. And I remember years ago, I was invited for dinner with Tony Blair. Now, Tony Blair was a former UK Prime Minister, and I'm not advocating I support him. I was very against him, really. But I still met a lot of people and an opportunity. But I remember him saying that people have to understand that it's not the best leaders of a country are not the people that win in politics or become your prime minister. The best to be a politician, it's generally the best speakers, the people that are able to campaign and are good at PR, etc. It's a different skill set. So even though they might have a skill set in some areas, they're generally not the smartest, brightest people. And I do remember that some years ago. Let's listen. Here's some young influencers. I want to give a shout out to a lot of the younger generation in Australia has woken up to the Israel threat and speaking up. But outside of that, have woken up to how the mess that Australia's in and using their influence to try and bring attention to these matters. Here's a young woman that I noticed on Instagram recently.
Australia relies more on income tax than almost any other country in the world. Around 40% of all the tax this country collects comes straight off individual pay slips. We've held that position second or third in the OECD for 36 out of the last 40 years. That's not my opinion, that's OECD revenue statistics. Yes, other countries have social security taxes that we don't pay here. That's a fair point. But even after counting that in, we still lean harder on individual income tax than almost any any other country in the world. Meanwhile, we're sitting on the world's largest reserves of iron ore, gold, uranium, and zinc. Australia makes over $300 billion a year in mineral exports alone, and somehow the bill still ends up in our payslip. I'm all for paying your fair share, but when Australia has been ranked one of the highest income tax over the last 36 years, that's something we need to start questioning. There are plenty of legal options to grow and hold wealth outside the system, but the average person just isn't taught about it.
Yeah, well said there. Here's another video she's done. So there's a lot of what I want to recognize citizen journalists and influencers that are educating people on these topics, because the education process is critical to know what's really going on and what needs to be done to fix it.
125 taxes counted by the Australian government, but that was back in 2010. Since that year, nobody has counted since. And during 2010, they commissioned a full review of the entire tax system. 2 years of work trying to cut that number down. 138 recommendations were put through to help simplify it, make it fairer, and reduce the load on everyday Australians. The government received the report and acknowledged the system was broken and rejected 135 of the 138 recommendations. Not shelved, not delayed, just rejected. That was 15 years ago, and no government since has counted again. We genuinely don't know how many taxes Australians are actually paying right now. We just know it hasn't gone down because not one of those recommendations were ever implemented. A system that's this complex doesn't stay this complex by accident. When the average person can't understand the rules, they just stop questioning them. They just do what they're told and they pay. That's not a broken system. That's a system working exactly as intended. You're paying more taxes on a dollar that's worth less every year. Nobody in this system is going to sit down and explain this all to you. No one is going to change how the system is written. So it's up to us to look into it ourselves, use our own discernment, and figure out other options that are out there.
Yeah, so Australia is one of the most highest tax nations in the world, but they want to compare it to other high tax nations. So, we're not that bad. This is a globalist trick. We're loaded with natural resources. If I was running the country, or anyone that's a nationalist leader, I'm a nationalist. I don't support left or right faction. I used to be conservative voter. I'm not anymore. I'm trying to educate my followers to understand that left and right is how they control us. I support a multipolar world, a nationalist leader, and Australia needs a nationalist leader. A nationalist leader would charge a tax on our resource, export tax. So those taking our resources would pay tax. Income tax would be brought to zero within at least a 5-year period. Income taxes, they are Rothschild's tax, a banker wanker tax created to fund the debt from the fake money they print at the Federal Reserve and loan it to countries around the world. And have been able to do that since World War II, because the US has been a world's reserve currency. So unlike Zimbabwe, can't just print endless money, or Indonesia, etc., create rampant inflation as these countries have suffered in the past. The US has been able to do that because it can export the inflation around the world. So the Fed Reserve, controlled largely by the Rothschilds and other banker wanker families, have been ripping off the system, and they invented income tax as a way to ensure governments can tax you to get their money back. They don't want governments taxing Rio Tinto and all these large companies that they founded and owned a large share in, and still do through their proxies such as BlackRock, etc., because that would affect their bottom line. They want to tax you because they know where you live, and you live in the country, so they can control you. So I don't pay tax in Australia because I don't live there. Does it make sense? So unless you're going to lead the country, you're going to be screwed. You're going to be ripped off. You're going to be taken advantage of. And if you don't get some of your assets out while you can and think that it's honky-dory, everything's going to be fine. I mean, I'm astounded that some of my wealthy friends haven't figured that out yet. The smart money really has left Australia and is getting their money out now. You profit, you record high real estate. Don't wait there to, when you've won the game, take the chips off the table and put a few chips in other countries. BRIC nations is what I'm investing in, such as Indonesia. Why? Because they have a better future, because they want to be part of a multipolar world. They're not into this left and right Israeli Zionist bullshit as Australia is. Oh, let's kick out the Albanese government. Yeah, sure, he's useless. But who are you going to put into place? Yeah, but we want Pauline Hanson. She sounds right. Yeah, she sounds right. And I met Pauline a long time ago through a mutual friend. And I thought Pauline was great what she's done. And, she's got some guts. She's spent her life helping Australia. But her and Gina Reinhardt, who I also met years ago, believe in Israel. They want Israel to get free land near Townsville and build drone machinery to kill more kids. I mean, it's pathetic. Pathetic. Fuck Israel. They're the real nation of the planet. They want to rule us. If you can't figure that out, you're going to lose the game. You're going to vote for those who want to support your demise. So I know it's difficult, but we need a nationalist leader. Nationalist leader, Gerard Rennick is a nationalist leader. You need to say, fuck left and right, and fuck their, Pauline Hanson. Unfortunately, what flag did she drape in the Australian Parliament in Canberra 18 months ago? It wasn't the Australian flag. Go and look it up. Many of you already know. It was the Israeli flag. They're little bastards. They slime in there everywhere to control and fund, because most people can't say no to money. See, people like me that said no to money, we had enough money to go, fuck you, I'm going to stand up for what's good for the country. They cancel us. And even now, despite rebuilding an empire overseas, they hate that. They want you to think that we're scam artists, or don't believe in us, us, or trying to stop you. The Murdoch Zionist, Murdoch, who's never told the truth in his life, the second largest sponsor to Netanyahu, is a Zionist. His press wants to attack me. Why? It's pretty obvious. They're competitors. But unlike the Australian newspaper, Australian National Review is not a failed project. It's not losing $20 million a year. That's a failed project. And when that second foot of Murdoch is in the grave soon, he won't be around to keep lying to the Australian public. But independent media will be, we will be, and we'll be there to tell the truth. So do something good in the world if you've got money. Add some value. Be good to humanity. Don't be a fucking loser, weak man that can't tell the truth. Stand up. Do what's right. Speak out. And don't be worried what people think of you or what they write about you. Because Australia, unfortunately, is the second last stop to Antarctica, a tiny population, 28 million. There's a world out there, and we don't really give a fuck what the Murdoch regime wants to write about us. Please tell more people about us. But tell us the truth, because the truth is going to come out one day or not, whether you like it or not. So my point being is that we're not all to blame in the past, because we've grown up believing false narratives and fake news, and why we continue to believe that, because everyone knows, we don't believe everything that's written in the newspaper. Yet how many people believe everything that's written in the newspaper? We are participating in it. So many of us have awakened, and great work, well done. Many haven't. But whenever we run back and believe what's in the papers, we are just supporting the enemy of the world. It's our job to fact check everything, to be an independent thinker and go and try and seek the truth. It's not always easy. It is confusing. But it's our duty to do that, to know the truth and to speak it. Is that asking too much of any human being? If you want to change and solve your country, save your country, learn the truth and speak it. And if anyone opposes it, tell them to go fuck themselves, because you have a right, a God-given right, to speak the truth. And no one has a right to censor you and tell you you can't. That's all for this episode, folks. We'll be back with some more on the McIntyre Report next week.